understanding the difference is key to making sure we don't repeat the same mistakes. So the thing that made all the difference, the change that I made. Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Melody and I make faith-based content here on YouTube. I post new videos every single Monday and Thursday. So if that is something you're interested in, definitely be sure and subscribe. I would love to have you join the family. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we are diving into goal planning, but I'm actually not going to be doing the typical goal planning vision board party kind of situation, because guys, that method has not worked for me. In the past, that is absolutely how I made my goals, and then I would look back at my goals at the end of the year and I'd be like, was God actually in these goals like I thought he was? But this past year for 2022, I did something different, and this has allowed me to actually experience me checking off so many of my goals. And it's not the goals that I made that were different. Well, yes, that was different. It's how I incorporated God into these goals. So I'm going to be breaking down this new process, and I hope you join me on this journey, because this has absolutely transformed, one, how I set goals, but two, how I see God show up in my life throughout the year. So I'm going to be walking you guys through the 3 steps that we are going to take. First, opening up in prayer, and we're going to say this prayer together. I'm going to have also a little PDF for you to keep this prayer with you throughout the year in the description box. Then we're going to go into the actual process of ensuring that God is in our goals like we think he is. And then number 3, I'm going to be showing you guys just some of the tangible tools I'm going to be using to help me keep myself accountable, as well as keep track of these goals that the Lord has given us. So if you guys are interested in any of this and you want to make sure that you set yourself up for success in 2023, but not just personal like earthly success, but some heavenly minded success, then keep on watching. So when it comes to our opening prayer, when we are approaching the Father, the God of the universe, and asking him to collaborate with us in setting goals for this upcoming year, the first thing we want to do is kind of just set the space. You know what I mean? Like, we want to just have some time to sit at the Father's feet. And now this prayer that I'm going to be sharing with you guys actually comes from a book that I've been reading. And it's so funny because I started implementing this new goal setting process at the end of last year. And then I stumbled upon this book this year that put language to what I was doing. And I feel like that just speaks to the type of God that we serve. Like, it seems like a coincidence, but it truly is not. And so this book, it is called The Sacred Slow. And I've talked about it here on my channel before, but she wrote the most beautiful prayer that really sets our heart in a posture to hear from the Lord, and really communicates that we are humbling ourselves to whatever he has for us, putting our goals, our needs, the things that we think we want to see to the side, and truly seeking his heart. So like I mentioned, I'm going to have a little PDF of this prayer for you in the description box, just so you have access to it throughout the year, because it is just that powerful. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop it up on the screen right now so we can say it together before we get into step 2 of our goal setting process. So the prayer reads as this: Great Shepherd of my soul, you have attended with care and love to every moment of my life. As I consider years past, I see your hand clearly in some spaces. In other spaces, I acknowledge the presence of your hand by faith, not by sight. Great Shepherd, you have gifted me with time and breath. In the coming days, I desire to partner with your divine intentions for my life. Reveal to me how you long to grow me from this moment forward. Open my spiritual eyes to realize how you are mentoring me. I acknowledge that it requires little self-discipline to rush passionately toward the future. Strengthen me to slow down and walk in purposeful partnership with you into tomorrow and the days beyond, be they many or few. How good is that? I love in this prayer that we're acknowledging that God is leading us and guiding us, whether we see his hand or not, whether we can recognize that he was there or not. We just know in our hearts by faith he was. So this is going to be the first thing that we do anytime we are going to God to set some heaven down goals. Now, one other thing I want to note here, and I'm going to read one more quote, so bear with me, but the difference between heaven down goals versus earth up goals, I really want to break it down for you guys, because understanding the difference is key to making sure we don't repeat the same mistakes. So one more quote, I'm going to go ahead and pop it up on the screen, okay? Last one, I promise. It says, most self-improvement goals and New Year's resolutions start earth up with what our eyes can see, what our hearts are worried about, and what annoys us. In contrast, approaching the future heaven down causes us to start with what God sees, what his heart longs for, and what would please him. Earth up lists are often about increasing productivity and decreasing failure. Heaven down listening is about deepening our relationship with him. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this little step 1 with that, and that just gives us our perspective that we need to have as we are setting these heaven down goals. So let's get into step 2. So the 3 questions we're gonna take to the Lord are pretty simple. The first one is, Lord, what is your heart for me in this season? The second question we're going to take to him is asking him, Lord, what desires are currently in my heart that are in alignment with what you want for me in this season? And then the third question is going to be the opposite of the second question. We're going to be asking him, Lord, what desires are currently in my heart that are not in alignment with what you want for me in this season and that I need to lay at your feet? So one thing that I'm sure you're noticing with all 3 of these questions is that we're acknowledging that we are going to him for guidance in this season. So this means that we are going to be continuously in conversation with the Lord as the seasons change. So we're not speaking in ultimatums like, what is the thing that you need me to lay down forever? No, we're talking about this season. And as the season changes, then we go to the Father. And this approach keeps us 1, dependent on the Lord, and 2, in communication with him. So once we have these 3 questions answered, which again, like I mentioned, the Lord might not answer them as quickly as you think he will. So we just want to be as patient as possible and continuously approaching the Father with these questions until we feel like we have heard responses from him. So once we have our responses to these 3 questions from the Lord, and you might be wondering like, okay, how do I hear from God? Sis, that's going to be a completely different topic. I'm going to link above some videos that I've talked about this, but I also am going to direct you to my membership club because I have a whole 35-minute masterclass teaching on how to hear the voice of God, how to decipher between if it's our thoughts versus God. So I'm going to direct you there because it is a lot to dive into, but it is an important part to know that we are hearing from the Lord to then go into step 3. So step 3 of setting our heaven down goals is to document. So once we hear from God, we need to write it down. Okay, we're talking write it down, make it plain. And so I personally, like I mentioned, love to use Notion for this. So I like to make vision boards. I do vision boards out of Canva. Once I craft a vision board in Canva, I then go and drop it into Notion. I then like to create separate pages in Notion just so I can break up my different goals. But at the end of the day, there's really 3 steps that are super important here when it comes to documenting. First and foremost, we need to just have a place that's going to house everything. We don't want to forget the things that the Lord has told us. So whether you're going to be a digital girly like me using Notion, or you're more of a pen and paper girl, just write it down. So once we have documented the Lord's responses to our 3 questions and it is written down, we then want to craft, again with the Lord, a vision statement. So it's from this vision statement that the Lord has given us for this season that we then will create 3 to 5 goals that support that vision. And once we have those 3 to 5 goals, we want to use Notion to help us track them. And we also want to use Notion to help us just visualize and see them and not forget what the Lord has told us. And so this is the process that I've used this year to see so many of the goals that I set with the Lord at the beginning actually come to pass. Creating heaven down goals versus earth up takes patience. It definitely takes some self-discipline, not to just rush in and make goals and do it before the end of the year, but to really sit at the feet of the Father. And it takes humility. It takes knowing that we need to go to the Father and get in alignment with him versus trying to make what we want come to pass. But when we do these things, this is when we actually see the Lord's hand in our life and see the things that he wants for us come to pass. So this is the change that I've made, and why after making this change, I actually see the goals that I've set with the Lord come to pass. All right, sis, so that is going to be it for me. I hope you are just as excited as I am for 2023 and everything that God has in store for us. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And of course, it is now your turn. So in the comments below, I would love us to be a little bit self-reflective. Let us know one thing that you either learned about yourself or that you learned about God this year. I love hearing about people's life lessons and different ways that the Lord leads and guides us. So definitely let us know in the comments. I will be dropping my response as well, and take a scroll through and see what your other sisters are saying. I love you guys, and I'm so excited to be going into this new year with you. And just thank you so much for allowing all of this to happen. Genuinely, without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. So I am eternally grateful. All right, guys, I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.